I'm going to show you how to make the head and the neck for your clay bust. So what we're going to be working on for right now is just doing a small clay bust and creating like a hollow neck and head area. The neck needs to be hollowed into the head, and I will show you how to do that so that nothing explodes in the kiln. This clay bust is about a hand or so high, but yours could be a little bit bigger or smaller depending on how big you make your shoulders and your neck and head. So we're going to start with a pretty large chunk of clay. And if your clay is like mine, where it's not all new and from a bag, then you're going to need to wedge it together. So starting with this clay, we're going to want to kind of get it into the shape of a loaf of bread. I'm just going to tap it on the table and then use my hands to kind of form it. I want to have a flat bottom and then kind of a rounded top. So it's kind of like a small baguette or a small loaf of bread, a little bit more narrow on the corners or the ends, and flat on the bottom. So those will be my shoulders. I'm kind of picking the side that looks the nicest right now to be my front. I'm going to have to do a little bit of smoothing later, but that looks pretty good. Next, I'm going to take another large chunk of clay, and I'm going to try to figure out how much clay do I need for the neck and the head. That didn't look like quite enough. So I'm trying to kind of add it in there and then eyeballing it, holding it up to my neck. Again, if you're adding extra clay and not just cutting it straight from a new piece, you're going to need to wedge it together. I'm going to start shaping that neck and head, and I want them to be in one piece, not two separate pieces. So this is going to be a lot of tapping, a lot of hitting with my hand. I'm going to use like the heel of my hand, which is sort of the bottom of my hand, to kind of start like forming that neck separate than the head. But I'm just kind of tapping it into a shape that would be close to a neck and head shape. You can see it's starting to get there. I have more of a round part at the top and then a little bit thinner at the bottom. So you can kind of squeeze the neck a little bit to get that part a little bit thinner. Your neck generally comes up and meets almost where your ears are. So you do actually have a pretty wide neck. But you do want to have it differentiated between the like big round part of your head and the neck. So right now that neck's looking a little bit long. So I'm going to have to take a little bit of it off. And a good way to do this is I need a little bit more clay in my head. So I'm just going to kind of smoosh some of that clay up there into the head part and kind of thin out that neck, shorten it up a little bit. My clay is like very plastic. It was brand new clay, so it's easy to mold right now. I'm not too worried about things getting smooth yet. I'm just kind of trying to get the shape first. I will also probably have to add on, I know I will, pieces for like my chin and stuff like that. So I'm not worried about that part yet either. Just the shape of the neck and the head. It's starting to look a little bit better. And now I'm going to kind of start like refining a little bit, making it look a little bit more like two pieces. I'm using my hand to kind of squeeze. If I use the web part between my thumb and my fingers, I can kind of start to make like a little bit more of a chin. I'll still need to add some more clay, but this is going to be like where the front of my head is. And then the back, I'm going to use that heel of my hand and kind of tap to make that sort of indent between where the back of the skull is or the side of the skull and the neck is. I'm going to keep kind of going in and refining and squeezing, looking at it from all different angles, turning it around 360 degrees, checking like how does it look from this angle versus that angle, from the side, from the front, from the back. This does take a little bit of time. So doing this probably took me 15 minutes or so. As I'm doing this, I'm starting to kind of smooth things in, but you've noticed I haven't really been using any water or anything right now. I'm just moving the clay around. It's looking pretty good. I need to have a little bit more clay where my chin goes, so I'm just going to add that in there. My clay is plastic enough right now that I don't need to slip and score it on. I can just smooth it in. So you're starting to see the differentiation between the front of the head, the chin, the back of the head, and the neck. And a lot of this is just squeezing the clay, holding as I brace it, kind of having my hands in that shape, taking little bits of clay off if I need to. There isn't really a right or wrong way to do this. You just kind of keep working with that clay and figuring out the shape. So mine's looking pretty good. I'm feeling like it's getting close to the right shape. Fits on the shoulders pretty well. I think my shoulders maybe could have been a little bit wider. But at this point, I'm pretty happy with the way that it looks. So I'm going to smooth it in just a little bit more, do a little bit more refining. It does not need to be perfect right now because we're actually going to end up kind of messing it up. But you want to get it to like a place where it feels pretty good and you think that it's about the right shape. When you're ready to wrap it up, you need to have a bag, put it in there, spray your project a couple times. Try to have it on like the widest setting so that it sprays like large and not small, and then wrap it up nice and tightly.